right, time to talk some football. You see the blue all around us. That's because we're talking big blue. It's the New York Football Giants, our breakdown of the week that was and the week that is to be for the New York Giants. Now 0-2 on the season. Oh, it hurts to say it, my friends. Today's broadcast brought to you by our friends at Crest Cadillac. It's the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital. Please like and subscribe our video. Before we bring in our special guest who joins us every week to talk Giants, let me say hello to my partner, Boy Green, a.k.a. Paul Esden Jr. What's up, sir?
Hey, Lerch, I hate to say when you're right because, I just hate it so much. But, heading into this Giants-Cowboys thing, I thought this was going to be a bloodbath. I thought we were going to have to hide the eyes of our children to say, oh, boy, Giant fans, you're going to want to take another gander. Look, there's a dog over there. But I will tell you that while the loss is a loss, no moral victories, all that jazz, we'll get into all that. Hey, Big Blue showed up in Big D. That was not too shabby there, man.
Didn't get the big W. Shabby. That's the problem.
Yeah, that was lacking.
Why the Giants didn't get that big W. But yeah, this is like a flip of the switchboard, Green. This week we're going to enjoy talking Giants despite a tough loss, kind of like what happened to the Jets in Week 1 against the Steelers. And we're going to have misery coming your way when we talk with Jake Asman about the Jets this week, our Jets insider. But let's bring in our Giants insider from Big Blue View. He joins us every week. It's Ed Valentine. What's up, Ed? How are you?
I'm good. How are you? You guys waste time talking about the Jets?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, on a week-to-week basis.
Oh, man.
Look, record-wise, we're sitting in the same boat.
Yeah, I guess it's true.
Know.
Really can't make fun of them right now, Ed. Better record last year.
I know. When can we make fun of the Jets, really?
That's a good point. I'm sure you guys will find time. So, Ed, come on. What I was just talking about with Lerch. I know there's no moral victories, but with the way the Cowboys look in Week 1, where they lost, but they look pretty good, and the Giants lost in the way that they did, and now we went into this Week 2 matchup between Giants Cowboys. I don't know. I felt a certain type of way that a rusty wrench was going to be employed against the Giants, and that's not what happened at all.
Well, look, fans are going to be fans, okay? And if you go to the post-game comments on Big Blue View, there's all sorts of anger and there's all sorts of gnashing the teeth, and Shane Bowen has to be fired and Brian Daboll has to be fired and John Mara's an idiot and they're 0-2 because Joe Shane doesn't know how to build a football team and yada, 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 yada. But you know what? I'm sorry. This was an incredibly entertaining football game. The Giants did a lot of great things. When is the last time we actually saw the New York Football Giants in a back and forth, up and down, you score, I score, you do something, I can do it better shootout like this one? I can't be mad. I don't understand. I can be disappointed, and I understand disappointment because the point of the game is to win. But geez, when's the last time we saw a 32-yard touchdown on a 4th and 4 and a 48-yard touchdown pass and a 52-yard pass? And when have we ever seen, and it's kind of funny to talk about now, but when have we ever seen a James Hudson-like implosion in one drive? But this was a fun football game that showed you that there is potential for what the Giants can be. So, like I said, I can't be angry. You have to be disappointed that they didn't win because it was there, but to be angry and to yell about John Mara and yell about Joe Shane and scream for Shane Bowen to be fired and all of that is a little too much for me.
Yeah, I call it POM, Ed. It's called prisoner of the moment. I've been quoting this now for a number of years. We just live in this world where it was just too prisoner of the moment. All right, I'm going to start in the negative space, and then we're going to move to the positive space in today's interview, sure. Right? You mentioned some of it, so let's get into it. Let's talk about discipline and penalties because, Ed, if we added them all up, some of the ones that didn't even get counted because they were, either declined or they were offsetting. I mean, I think it was like 21. Yeah, flag 21 times. Paul's already got the graphic there. Thank you for that, Paul. I really didn't need that. 21 times. We're talking historic, epic, bad discipline. And that's one that's hard not to put on the coach in some way, even though, as you said, there was a James Hudson implosion at one point. Let's talk about it.
Absolutely. And, thanks guys for doing the work for me. And thanks to Jordan Renan, who did the work for me. I love it because I hadn't totaled the number of penalties that were not accepted. I needed to, but it's been done for me. I love it when other people do it for me. That's just awesome. But look, this was a problem for the New York Giants last year. Discipline was an issue. The Giants were very close to, if not right at the top of the league in penalties, illegal motions, false starts, in the pre-snap penalties. That's the word I'm looking for. And so this has been an issue for at least 2 years now, with Brian Daboll. And of course it's a reflection on the coach. I don't know how to explain what James Hudson did, in that first drive. The man completely lost his mind.
And he was vapor locked. It was weird.
But there were 2 other penalties on that drive. There was a penalty, Swayze Bozeman's first play as a New York Giant. Practice squad elevation is the holding penalty that wrecks a 65-yard kickoff return.
Yeah.
You guys realize, I looked at the stats during the game, that opening drive where they held the ball for 9 minutes and ran 16 plays and had 6 penalties.
Mm-hmm.
How many yards of offense they actually totaled before penalties? 2 points. Totaled 110 yards of offense.
Say it's over 100. They went more than a field.
10 yards of offense.
Back, forward, back,
50,
forward.
And ended up with a field goal.
Wow.
It's just it. But
it was a remarkable drive to start a game. Remarkable.
The discipline,
bizarre, really.
The discipline's been an issue. Unnecessary roughness penalties. We can argue about one of the 2. You're roughing the passer penalties on Roy Robertson Harris, but a lot of these penalties are like, a lot of the defensive pass interference penalties are technique related. The unnecessary roughness stuff is just guys losing their discipline. And it's obviously a reflection on Brian Daboll. It's been there. This is not, although this was the worst, this is not isolated.
Okay.
Right.
Let me go ahead, Boy Green.
Yeah. I was just going to say, if we're swimming in the negative right now, what happened to the defense? I went to a Jets-Giant joint practice in person, and I just saw the defensive line just standing next to each other. And I was like, look at this A-team with Mr. T and company all lined up here. I'm like, man, who's going to beat this unit? And I'm like, man, I don't know what the offense is going to be for the Giants. We'll see what happens during the season. This is during training camp. But I'm like, man, this defense is going to be something. And they allowed 40 friggin' points against America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. What happened there, Ed?
Well, it's funny because we had Javon Holland on a Zoom call on Monday. And I managed to make Javon Holland angry because I basically asked him, with all the hype about the defense and all of the players that they have, I basically said, how frustrating is it to have the offense hand you the lead 3 times in the fourth quarter and then give it back?
Oof.
And he did not like that question at all.
Well, the truth hurts sometimes.
He didn't. Well, everybody sort of tap danced around it, and then I got to throw out the last question, and I'm like, I'm just gonna hit it because everybody's tap danced around it. So he did not like that, and he basically kind of yelled at me for a minute, but whatever. But look, this is Dexter Lawrence said it before the season started. Brian Burns said it. A lot of the veteran guys said it. All the hype, all the chatter means nothing because they haven't done it. Okay. And that's the truly frustrating thing is 3 times in the fourth quarter, they were handed leads. One stop. Now, Dak Prescott's a really good quarterback. CeeDee Lamb is a great wide receiver. All right. Kevontae Turpin, is incredible, but it's not like Dallas doesn't have players, and you have to give them some credit, but still, you got to get one stop. You've got all these guys with big reputations. Somebody needs to make a play. Somebody needs to, be in the right spot in coverage, play your leverage correctly. Don't commit a stupid penalty that, the Giants gave up on one play in one of those drives in the fourth quarter. They gave up 44 yards, all on penalties on one play. 25-yard pass interference on Drew Phillips with 15 yards tacked on for a roughing the passer. And you can't do that kind of stuff. I think about, you guys remember 2007, of course, when the Giants won the Super Bowl. They gave up 80 points in their first two games. And then, under Steve Spagnuolo, that defense turned it around and became a Super Bowl winning unit. And I'm not saying that this team's going to win a Super Bowl, but the fact that they haven't done it yet doesn't mean that they can't. But it is very frustrating to watch because they had, like I said, they blew 4 leads in that game, including being up 13-3 in the second quarter. So it's just frustrating, to see the defense, which is supposed to be the best unit on that team, not be able to win a game when the offense does what it did on Sunday.
Yeah, that's the primary disappointment for me, Ed, is just not getting the job done, considering where they are in the pantheon of this team, and the importance of that.
I mean, then again, we can talk about the 2nd and 10 play at the end of regulation too, because we talked to Javon Holland about that. We've talked to Brian Daboll about that. I'm sure we'll talk to Shane Bowen about it later this week. But the Giants were defending. Javon Holland told me very clearly they were defending the 50-yard line. They wanted to keep Dallas on the other side of the 50. So what do they do from the Dallas 33-yard line? They play a soft defense with all of the DBs backing up past the 50. How do you do that when you're trying to keep Dallas off the 50?
Correct.
You're trying to keep them from getting to the 50, because if you can keep them from getting to the 50, I think Brandon Aubrey could still hit from 70. But if he's going to hit from 70, you just tip your cap.
Yeah, right.
But that's the one, and I know that's the one that has everybody angry.
Yep.
But I don't know, to be honest with you. Again, I'd love to talk to Shane Bowen about this. I don't know if there were player mistakes on that play, but I just didn't like the softness of the coverage.
Right.
So
I think, again, especially when you're on the road, Ed, I think you have to play to win and not to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And just get your normal defense, get up on the line of scrimmage, chip the receivers, do all the things that you do when the game, at other points in the game. Why do we change the way we attempt to play defense when we get late in games? This has happened time and time again. Need we go back to the 13 seconds in the Kansas City Chiefs? I mean,
I thought about that.
13. That was exactly what I was thinking when I got the ball back.
I thought about that.
More time than the Chiefs and a pretty good kicker. They only need a kick to send it into overtime, and they make it all happen.
The thing was, it was clear from talking to Brian Daboll and from talking to players, it was clear that they understood what Brandon Aubrey was capable of. They understood that if you give him a 65-yard kick, he's probably going to make it. At that point in the game, indoors in Dallas, he's probably going to make that kick, which is just ludicrous, but he's going to make that kick. So I do understand the frustration of, how they could play defense the way that they did when it was clear that they understood what they were up against.
All right. Look, we'll go from frustrations to adulations, even though it's not a win. Let's take a break. We'll hear a little bit more from our friends at Crest Cadillac, sponsoring today's video with Ed. And then we will be back to talk about the positives in this Giants-Cowboys game for the New York Giants. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Cadillac certified pre-owned vehicles, exclusively available in Central New York at your participating Cadillac dealer, Crest Cadillac. Each one must meet high standards and receives a 172-point inspection, along with a 1-year unlimited mile warranty after the original warranty expires. Come into Crest Cadillac in Syracuse today for exceptional offers on Cadillac certified pre-owned models. CrestCadillac.com.
All right, back with our Giants insider, Ed Valentine from Big Blue View. Don't forget to like and subscribe at MC Show Digital. We talk every week with Ed as we go inside the Giants. Giants lose to the Cowboys in overtime in a heartbreaker in Big D. We're breaking it down. We've talked about the negatives. Let's get into some of the positives, because I'm mad. Ed, I'm mad at the New York media for the way they flogged Russell Wilson last week after what was a putrid offensive performance. I have no issues with that. But again, too much prisoner of the moment. He's washed up. He's got nothing left. And what does the guy do? He throws for over 400 yards. Okay. He makes every pretty much clutch throw that the Giants needed him to in that game to have a chance to win. All right. He kind of pushes the sun, dare I say, back up into the sky and away from retirement. The only thing he didn't get is the W, unfortunately. But I better not hear a single New York media guy picking on Russell Wilson for that one dumb pick that we can talk about. But that was not what decided this game in my mind in any way, shape, or form. So let's talk about the incredible performance of one Russell Wilson.
And to Lerch's point, just to add in, Russell Wilson leads the NFL in passing yards after 2 weeks.
It's not. It's not where we thought we would be when Sunday started. Let's put it that way. By the way, you mentioned the sun. Jim, you mentioned the sun, and I have said the sun lives permanently right above Russell Wilson's head. It just trails him everywhere. It goes everywhere that Russ goes. There's never a rainy day in Russell Wilson world. The sun lives permanently over his head. He's Mr. Positivity every single moment of every single day. It's insane. But anyway, of course, last week, coming off what we saw, 6-point game where they did nothing offensively. They were lifeless. They threw, with Mr. Moonball at quarterback, they threw one pass down the field of more than 20 yards, which, by the way, when I asked Mike Kafka about that last week, he looked at me and he was like, really? That's all? I think we did more than that. And I was like, go look at the numbers, dude. Go look at the numbers.
He didn't know.
He didn't know. But
just amazing what you imagine the game plan to be and what the game plan and how the game script ends up landing.
How it ends up.
That was, I think, what Kafka's really saying there. Okay, that wasn't what we intended. How did that happen?
Right, absolutely. But of course, what we spent all of last week talking about was how soon will they go to Jackson Dart if we see this again?
Right,
and I don't know that any of us knew or felt that Russell Wilson still had that in him. I mean, he made plays with his feet. He threw beautiful moon balls. When he throws that deep ball and he clearly sees his target, I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson even said on Monday, he said, you just run down the field and the ball just basically drops in the bucket. It just falls out of the sky. Right into your hands. I don't think any of us saw that coming, and I don't know that Russ he's not going to throw for 450 yards every week. All right. That's not going to happen, but it shows you what the Giants can be when they can get the ball down the field to Malik Neighbors, when they can get the ball down the field to Wan'Dale, when they can get the ball down the field to Darius Slayton, when Theo Johnson can make some plays in the middle of the field. It shows you that they can score points. And so, it was like we said earlier, the only disappointing part is they didn't win the game. But geez, that was a lot of fun to watch. And I don't think we'll hear any more Jackson Dart should start for at least a few weeks. Now, maybe if they get to 0-4 and we're staring at the New Orleans Saints, then I don't know. There could come a point where it doesn't matter how well or how poorly Russ is playing. They just need to get Dart on the field.
Let me go back to two play. Russell Wilson had so much positive in this game. The negatives to me were the interception, all right? And we can get into talking about that play if you want. But I want to talk to you about two other plays because I think to me, and I would love your analysis on this, Ed. I think to me, this is Russell Wilson, the veteran. I mean, the Giants have themselves a veteran quarterback here. And we've already seen it even in the two games. Russell Wilson looking downfield, seeing everyone covered, throwing it out of bounds. Throwing it in the dirt, short of the receiver on purpose. He's covered. I'm not throwing it to the other team. That's what you want to see from your veteran quarterbacks. But then there's this pressure on Russell Wilson because that Jackson Dart thing is sitting there and we're hearing it in the media every day. And the pressure of that has to be great. Two plays in this game that I really must ask you about. One is the play where he palms the ball because he sees the big hand coming up in the lineman, and then he throws the ball backwards. Fortunately, Scattaboo gets near that, sweeps it out of bounds, and it doesn't turn into a turnover. I mean, that could have been a scoop and score and a disaster. You don't expect that from a veteran quarterback. And then the other play was he's being sacked. The guy gets a hold of the bottom of his right arm where he's got the ball in it, so he flips it over to the left hand and then tries to chuck it past the line of scrimmage. It doesn't get past the line of scrimmage. I think it resulted in a penalty. So those are two uncharacteristic plays, dare I say, of a veteran player. Is that the pressure that Wilson is feeling when he does stuff like that? Or in your mind, is that just happenstance?
I tend to think that it's more happenstance. I tend to think that it's Russell Wilson. Okay. Because as wonderful a career as he's had, if you watch Russell Wilson over the years, and as good as he is he spends a lot of time with his wide receiver saying, this is what I want from you on this play. This is where I need you to be. This is how I want this route to be run. Over his career, I've watched some Russell Wilson games where I've thought, what on God's green earth is he doing on that play? Okay. For a veteran quarterback, I think there are just times. Of course, I had the same feeling sometimes when Eli Manning was the Giants quarterback. When we saw Eli Manning try to throw some left-handed passes, when we saw Eli Manning try to the most immobile guy in the world try to spin out of the pocket to his left like he thought he was Michael Vick or somebody and make a play. Sometimes guys are just too competitive for their own good. The first play that you're talking about, I think that Russ, that's one of those deals that you see with quarterbacks where, well, actually on that play, I think it ended up being a sack because they called him in the grasp. He was just trying to avoid the sack and throw the ball away. Yep. At least he didn't put it in harm's way, but he could have easily been called for grounding on that play.
Yes.
The two plays that I think about are the ones in overtime, the one where he, the Scatterbo play that you mentioned. And I think that's just a case where he thought better of trying to throw the ball and he lost it. And that's, indecision. Just take the sack. At that point, just take the sack and punt the ball. But, the other one, of course, was the deep shot to Malik Neighbors, the ball that got intercepted. And there's two theories on that play. The initial theory that I had was he was under pressure and he's 5'10", and he knew Malik Neighbors was down there somewhere, and he threw the ball to where he thought Malik Neighbors was going to be. Okay, because he couldn't exactly see where Malik Neighbors was.
Right, and he threw the numbers, and Neighbors was outside the numbers.
And what you don't know is, was Neighbors in the right place? Did Russ throw the ball off target? You just don't know. And Russ isn't going to throw Malik under the bus. And I would assume, although he did it to Daniel Jones a year ago,
will Malik throw Russ under the bus?
I don't think Malik will throw Russ under the bus. I think, I think that Malik had enough of Daniel Jones, and we talked earlier about Brian Daboll and discipline and things like that. Go back to last year when, I don't remember which game it was, but it was a game where the Giants got blown out, and we walked up to Malik Neighbors after the game, and somebody said, Malik, from your perspective, what happened today? And he said, well, I don't know. Don't ask me. He said, I was open.
Oh, yeah. I remember
He said, I was open.
Yeah.
I was open. The ball never came. I was open. So that's and Brian Daboll's response when he was asked about that was, well, he was open.
Yeah.
And that's not what you would expect from your star wide receiver, or, to be honest, your head coach.
Yeah. Look, Neighbors, no reason to complain in this game. He got the ball a lot more and racked up fantasy points for those that haven't been in the world of fantasy. But in reality, he was much more targeted this week. So the complaints that he was waging, it seemed, on the sidelines last week had been alleviated because the Giants decided, he's very, very important. Although I must admit, and maybe you can comment quickly on this, Wan'Dale Robinson is certainly getting a lot of targets in this Giants offense, and he did it again this past week against Dallas.
Absolutely. And I have to be honest, I wondered, Wan'Dale Robinson is 5'8", 185 pounds, and he has the shortest arms of any wide receiver in the NFL. Okay. He has the shortest arms of anybody in the league. And I wondered how this was going to work with a 5'10" quarterback trying to throw the ball to a 5'8" wide receiver with such short arms, and Wan'Dale Robinson likes to work the middle of the field. So I wondered if his productivity was going to go down, and it's not. So we're seeing the exact opposite. We're seeing Wan'Dale Robinson get down the field, which is something the Giants have told us for 3.5 years that he could do, but we haven't seen him do. So, yeah, it's great to see, because the Giants need somebody to take pressure off of Malik Neighbors and make teams pay when they double Neighbors.
That's the way to do it. Again, we're speaking with Ed Valentine, baby, our Giants guru for all things Big Blue View. Ed, let's turn the page. Let's preview it. Just as we all drew it up, a battle of defeated teams. 0-2 Kansas City, 0-2 New York Giants, both seeking their first victory on the season. And what better stage? Sunday Night Football, baby, on NBC. This Chiefs team has looked incredibly vulnerable. The Giants coming off a game where they look really good against the Dallas Cowboys, Ed. Could the Giants send the Kansas City Chiefs from attempting to go 3-0 in the Super Bowl the last 3 years to 0-3 to start the season?
Oh, anything can happen. All right. But look, do you think it's a good thing for the New York Giants that they're facing the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday night when the Chiefs are 0-2 and a Patrick Mahomes-led football team has never lost 3 straight games? Never. Do you think and granted, I don't think this is the Kansas City team of the last 3 years.
Sure.
But they have never lost 3 straight games under Patrick Mahomes. Not that it's impossible, but somehow that just doesn't seem like a good thing for the Giants.
All right, I'm going on the record right now. I did it last week.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
this
boy.
game will be extremely competitive, and I give the Giants a very good chance of winning it. We'll talk about it later in the week. We've got plenty more time to talk about this, but I'm getting on the bandwagon early here. I understand the Chiefs' issues. I understand their desperation. I also think the Giants have a certain sense of desperation, and this one is going to be played in front of a home crowd. And the Giants have been on the road for 2 games. They're coming home, and I expect, despite the 0-2 start here, that home crowd is going to give them a lift. So I do think
this. I think the Giants are 0-2, which is sort of standard fare for the Giants. But I do believe that this is a better football team than what they've put on the field for a while. I do believe they showed us that on Sunday against Dallas. You would like for the Giants to have won on Sunday. It would feel a lot better if they had won on Sunday against Dallas. But this is a better football team. They have a chance on Sunday night. They absolutely have a chance.
Will there be a genuine anger from this defense? on Sunday night, because they should be angry with their performance. They should be angry with the points they gave up. They should be angry that the offense gave them a number of opportunities. If they just could get a stop, if they just could stop Dallas, that they could win a game. This one to me is more on the D than anywhere else.
If they're as ticked off Sunday night as Javon Holland was at me on Monday afternoon, then that would be a good thing.
Yeah, do me a favor, Eddie. The rest of this week, any of the pressers that you participate in, whether it's in person,
rile them up.
Right, rile it. Let's get him fired.
Nice.
That complete collapse that we saw. Just give it to him, Ed, because we need him to be PO'd. We need some PO'd defensive players, because they're going to need that. Because the weakness of Kansas City, and there are a few of them for Kansas City this year, but they play two really good teams. So let's not knock Kansas City the way we have knocked other teams that are 0-2 here. But the weakness of Kansas City clearly is their wide receivers. They are banged up, and they're just not that great, the guys that they have. If you can put pressure on Mahomes, if you can get Mahomes on the run, and the Giants have the front to do that. They have to get this guy on the run and make him do things unconventionally to these receivers who are not the best in the world. And maybe you turn them over a couple of times. That to me is the formula for the Giants to win this game if they're going to be in it and win it.
Well, the weird thing about Kansas City, when you look at Kansas City, is they have Patrick Mahomes, and they have the big name in Travis Kelce, and they have Andy Reid, and they have all of that. But they have, and back in 2022, they were an offensive juggernaut. But if you look, every single year since then, they have slid backwards offensively. They, to this point in the season, through 2 games, they have not been a good offensive football team. They are one of the worst offensive football teams in the league so far, which is just stunning with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. To me, I don't. By the way, I'm not going up to Dexter Lawrence and making him angry. I'm not doing it.
That's probably a good choice.
I'm not doing that. Just not happening.
Don't rile up a big man like that.
No, don't rile up the big man. But I need to see the Giants defense play with better discipline.
Yeah.
That's what I need to see. I need to see guys not commit, after the whistle penalties. I need to see guys play their technique down the field and not have their hands all over wide receivers. I need to see guys, if they're supposed to have inside leverage, have inside leverage. I need to see these guys, again, they still, even with additional talent from what they had last year, they still don't defend the run well. And I don't think that's about talent. I think that's about guys doing what they're supposed to do and being where they're supposed to be, instead of sometimes guys try to do too much. Sometimes they're not sure the guy next to them is going to do what he's supposed to do, so they go try to do that guy's job. Or they anticipate something and they jump to the wrong place and they leave a big hole where they're supposed to be. If this defense does what it's supposed to do and plays with discipline, they'll be fine, because they do rush the passer. They still do rush the passer. I mean, Abdul Carter didn't have any splashy plays on Sunday, but he's really good. He's really impactful. Burns is terrific. Kayvon Thibodeau's been playing well. So I just need the defense to play the way it's supposed to play.
Fair enough.
Ed, we're speaking with Ed Valentine here, the editor for Big Blue View since 2007. I need your utmost honesty, Ed. I need Boy Scout honor here. I've got a question for you, Ed Valentine.
Uh-oh. I'm signing off now.
Scout's honor.
Scout's honor. Okay.
I was a Boy Scout, by the way.
Okay. Then you are sworn to code. There's no way to get out of this. How much content will you be delivering on Big Blue View this week that includes Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce?
Hopefully none. Hopefully none. I'm certain we will that we will not be able to avoid writing Taylor Swift's name a few times, but I would rather write none. I would rather just write football.
Gotcha. Well, look, Ed, I'm going to keep banging the drum. Last time we talked, I banged the drum, and now we're only 15, dare I say, subscribers away from this. Now I have it right here in my hand, Ed.
Oh, okay. Let me do
Put it
this
up full
for you.
screen if you want, Boy Green. I'll try and talk around it here.
We'd rather look at that than you anyway.
David
That's a
Tyree
good point. Very good
on
point.
my wall for a number of years. It was on the studio wall, our radio studio wall for a long time. All right, you go back to the 3-shot.
What a great signature, too.
When you get to 300, this sucker's going out the door. We're 15 shy as of this moment. I just checked on my phone a moment ago. So 15 shy, and that thing gets shipped to one of 300 lucky people. We'll see who's lucky enough. Ed, when we get to 299, as you mentioned last week, I'll make sure to call you so you can be number 300 and just be in our little raffle.
Nice.
You know,
Gotta be in it to win it. Just like the lottery, baby.
Absolutely. I have a theory at Big Blue View, by the way.
Okay.
What's that?
There is no reason that is not good enough for running that photo at Big Blue View whenever possible.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Whenever possible, that photo pops up on Big Blue View. Always does.
One of the things about that is so remarkable, and I mean, obviously, you're sitting with two guys here that are in Central New York and that have covered Central New York sports for decades, and that is that it was David Tyree, a guy that we covered at Syracuse University, was
Correct.
a wide receiver here for the Orange. He was a decent player in college. Made some big catches, so was never wide receiver one. I interviewed David when he was here probably close to a dozen times. He was a very affable guy, kind of had a little bit of a kind of a religious side to him always when I talked to him, thanking God all the time, mentioning, the way he, kind of conducts his life in a world of Christianity of some sort. He was a very likable guy. And then he ends up on the Giants. I'm like, wow, this guy's in the pros. Surprised that he even made the pros. He becomes this special teams ace. And somehow, some way, in this season of where he was just not even existent on the Giants offense, he shows up in the Super Bowl. Earlier in the game, he catches a touchdown pass. I'm like, did they just say David Tyree caught a touchdown? Like, that's impossible. Like, just my thought as a Syracuse guy and the improbability of it all. And then you couple that with what he later does in that game, and he pins that ball against the helmet, that it was him on top of everything else. Forget about the catch itself, which is unbelievable. But the fact that it was him that made the catch is the most unbelievable thing to two guys like Paul and myself.
So let me ask
Absolutely.
you guys a trivia question. David
Okay.
Tyree trivia question time. Okay. We talked about Ed and that magical 2007 season. How many
Which we
catches,
take credit for at Big Blue View, by the way, because
As
that
you
was our first year.
Yeah, a pretty good year. How many catches did David Tyree have during the 2007 regular season? How many catches did David
You've
Tyree
already
have?
asked me that. I don't remember the exact number. I think I have an idea.
Well,
So I'm going to let Ed go.
I cheated. I didn't know you were going to ask that question because as we were talking about Tyree, I actually looked it up.
Okay.
before you
Okay, so
even
now
asked
it's
the
on
question.
Manchild then. We can trivia Manchild. Manchild, what is it? How many
I don't know, it
catches?
was I think it was like 6 catches or 5 catches. It was a very small amount.
He had 4.
4 catches.
Yeah.
And I have another question for you guys about David
okay, here we
Tyree.
go. All right.
How many catches did David Tyree have in his career after that Super Bowl?
Oh, wow. Oh,
Tell you what,
boy.
that could be a big fat 0. My answer is 0.
No.
That
it
is
can't.
a 0.
0 is correct.
That is a
What?
0.
Yes.
He was out of the league in 2008 because of an injury. Played for 10 games for Baltimore in 2009 and did not catch a pass.
There you
He
go.
had 0 catches. It's just an example of when you win championships. If it's baseball, it's a 26-man effort. It's the last guy on the roster. It's Al Weiss for the Mets coming up with a big hit in a World Series game. It's the last guy on the roster sometimes, that makes the play. In football, it's a 53-man effort. It's not always the superstar that makes the play that turns things around. And that's just how that was with Tyree in that Super Bowl. And, but it is absolutely correct. That is the last football he caught as an NFL player.
Even more remarkable. It's just crazy. Sometimes your last chance is your only chance. So, You better make the most of it, especially when you're talking about in the Super Bowl, in a World Series Game 7, in whatever the penultimate game is in your particular sport. But wow, it's chills. It's hard to let that photo go. I hope we never get to 300, so I can just keep it on my wall forever. So all you people, forget it. Don't subscribe. I don't need you. I'm keeping that photo. It's staying right here on the wall.
I want it. I want it right back there. I'm going to put it right back there.
Nice behind Ed there. He's got a little.
It would. He does have room. He does have room.
I do have room. You know, I do need some decor back there. Unfortunately for me, the way this office is set up, all of my good stuff is actually in front of me. It's all in front of me because I'm sitting at my desk. It's all in front of me. And it's like I gotta do something about that.
You gotta adjust to the podcasting world. As you can see, I put all things behind me now. Right, you're exactly right.
I gotta do something about that. I need some shelves back there.
Yeah. I'll tell you, that was my problem. My old office. I said, this is perfect. Turn on the camera. I'm like, son of a, everything is on this side. Son of a.
Yep.
And
I'm staring at all of it. I'm staring at all the photos.
I bet it looks great.
Looks better than what's behind me.
Well, as I say, that's a wrap, fellas. Ed, always good talking to you. We'll see. Kansas City. I know a lot of people not expecting a win. I'm telling you, I'm not saying I'm expecting a win, but I expect a tight game and maybe a win. And maybe we are talking about a 1-2 team next week. I would love to be talking about a 2-1 team coming off 2 wins, because this one was gettable in Dallas. We didn't get it, but we'll see if we can get the next one here. And everybody in New York, hear me loudly. Lay off of Russell Wilson. Leave him alone and let the kid sit. Let the kid sit, okay? Wait till Andrew Thomas is back. Wait till that line is back. Oh, let me ask that before we go. Any update on Andrew Thomas?
We will find out more tomorrow. I think that the thing about Andrew Thomas is he has yet to go through. They basically have 3 full practices each week.
Mm-hmm.
And week 1 and week 2, he practiced twice. Okay. I think the tell as to whether he'll play or not is going to be when he practices all 3 days.
Okay. Fair enough.
And by the way, you're 100% right about Russell Wilson and Jackson Dart. I've said that again and again and again, that it will be better for the New York Giants the longer Russell Wilson can keep Jackson Dart on the bench, the better off it's going to be for Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I think so too. And I wish more people would believe that. But we're POM, Ed, prisoners of the moment, and you got to let that thing go. You got to let it go. Ed Valentine, as always, great. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, guys.